welcome back to the Cherry City Punch, episode 4. We appreciate you letting us back in your home for this episode.
Yes.
We have a lot of fun things planned. We're going to see an interview with Jeff Witt and Amy Billings from Verona Studios' production of Marry Me a Little. And then we also are welcoming in Aric Wood and Max Morter, who are going to talk about the Oregon State Thespian Conference, which is coming up in Salem next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And Marry Me a Little is happening at the Verona Studio next weekend as well. They open.
Yes.
So we've got some big guests coming up on this week's episode.
Yes, we're
and
excited.
Heather and I went and saw the production of Time Stands Still at Kaiser Homegrown Theater.
It was great. We loved it. So congrats to the cast and crew of that show.
And we did a little mid-show review, intermission review in the bathroom at Shenectady, which was fun.
We received a lot of positive feedback on that particular segment. And rumor has it that we were also at the Salem Dancing with the Stars.
Yes,
or
we
at
were.
least one of us.
Well, I felt like I should say that the Cherry City Punch was at the event.
Yes.
Heather was not at the event.
I was
just
not.
So people are wondering.
There are two of us.
I won Dancing with the Stars in 2015.
I love how you just interjected that
I
in
was,
casually.
Well, I was there. I was there as a judge of the event with
Yes.
the lovely Kelly Swanson
And
Jakes.
I heard you got a lot of booze.
Well, we
Some
had.
of your comments.
We were told by the producers of the show that a good judge elicits a reaction from the crowd, whether it be applause, laughter, or booze.
Yes, so Robert
And so
elicited.
I did what I could to elicit a reaction.
Yes.
And I am generally seen as the curmudgeon, if you will, or the
grumpy.
bitter Bill,
Yeah.
if you will. So I did what I could to be critical of the dancers. I, being a former
Constructive criticism. though.
yeah,
Constructive
I
criticism.
only said things to make them better.
Yes, of course.
But
the next time they do.
I used my experience as a past winner to be able to help them get better. But I was told at the end that I elicited the most booze of any other judge they've ever had in the show.
That's
so
actually something to be proud of, I would say.
I was feeling proud that night,
Yeah.
actually. So,
Well,
Heather, what's coming up on the community calendar?
Well, we have a lot of things going on in April. As we mentioned, we're going to have the stars of Marry Me a Little here, but they're April 1st, April 2nd, April 9th, or excuse me, April 8th and April 9th. So they're going to be also having 8 p.m. performances, and then matinees on those Saturdays, so on the 2nd and also on the 9th. We'll be talking about that, so you'll hear a little bit more about that show. Urinetown is opening April 15th.
We know some people in that show.
Urinetown, the musical.
Urinetown, the musical. Don't be afraid of the title.
Yes. It is actually a very clever show. Robert and I are also in it, so we're excited. One of the things that's happening in April, theater-wise, but it's going to be open to the community and it's free for everyone, is something new called Shakespeare in the Market. So every Saturday in April, students from Willamette University, McKay, McNary, South Salem, and West Salem high schools will perform Shakespeare excerpts. And those performances will be 10 and 11:30, and also 1 and 2 p.m., and it will be in the Market community gathering area. So we also have some auditions for Enlightened Theatrics production of The Wizard of Oz. So adults and children by appointment only. So check out the website for details about how to schedule an appointment.
And those are paid positions.
They are. So April 21st, April 22nd for adults, children April 24th. The show's going to run in June, July, so you have plenty of time for that, but you want to check out their website. Also April 30th, Pinnacle Theater, 1 p.m. There's going to be auditions for a show called The Alien. So if you're in that 25 to 35 range, actually maybe even younger than that, and you're male, this is a great show, some really meaty roles for you.
3-person cast. So.
Yes. The Salem Philharmonia is going to be April 22nd. April 23rd, they're going to be performing Mendelssohn's Symphony No. 4. So you want to check that out. And then also, Salem Kaiser Education Foundation, they are going to be having an auction April 16th called Shoot for the Stars. So
it's also a benefit for law enforcement for youth, and they're going to be on our show next week to hear more about that event coming up.
Yeah, so that's what we have in April so far.
All right, well, let's pop over to our interview with Jeff Witt and Amy Billings from Verona Studios' Marry Me a Little.
Hello. Here we have Amy Billings and Jeff Witt from Marry Me a Little, a production at Verona Studios that they're actually going to be up on April 1st, April 2nd, April 8th, and April 9th. And on the 2nd and the 9th, you have a 2 o'clock matinee as well. So we're excited to have you here with us.
Thanks for having us.
Tell us a little bit about Marry Me a Little. What is probably a musical most people haven't heard of, so.
Well, it's a 2-person musical with songs written by Stephen Sondheim that were originally cut from other musicals that he had done that someone put together in a sort of a story order, and that's what it is about. So it's about 2 single people who are living upstairs and downstairs from one another in a apartment in New York City, and they sort of know that each other is there, but they've never actually met. So they are interacting with one another both in reality as well as sort of a fantasy life.
There's no dialogue.
No dialogue.
No dialogue, all
no,
singing.
Verona, do they do musicals often? Or this is their first musical?
This is their first one. It's kind of a special project.
That's cool.
And the director is?
Deborah Johansson.
Okay.
Yes. And Sarah Greenleaf Seitz
Seitz
is
is the
going to be
pianist.
Yes,
the accompanist.
they're both very wonderful.
Yeah, they
So,
are.
no dialogue, all music.
Yes.
No songs that we've probably ever heard, maybe before.
Maybe.
Maybe.
You probably the one you probably recognize the most is "Marry Me a Little."
Okay.
It was originally cut from a show, but then it was put in the revival of Company.
It was
when
cut
came
from
out.
Company.
It was cut from Company, and it was put back in the
Right.
revival when they did the
okay.
revival of it. So
So,
you might know that one.
how is the show created then? I mean, what's the process been to create the story that the songs have interwoven together if you don't have dialogue and you actually don't really interact with each other?
Right. Well, Deborah has blocked it all out, and as people, moving around their apartments, and there are different fantasy moments, and you'll see a shift in that in the lighting and stuff like that. Fantasy moments where we do interact with each other, so it's not like a whole hour of us
Ignoring each other.
park and bark singing. It's so there is a story, and there is moments where we're together and not, but.
I bet the direction has a lot to do.
It does
with
have a lot. It needs a director.
So a
Definitely.
majority of the interactions and how the songs weave together is created. Maybe every production is going to be different because.
Correct.
Yes, exactly. And it was
Yeah, and that's
basically
Deborah's done
about wanting love, needing, wanting someone to be with them.
Companionship.
Now, why do you think the songs were cut from
Yeah.
the shows originally?
Well, some of them are just really, really difficult. But I think
Hard.
a lot of the times it was because they didn't serve the story.
Yeah.
One of Jeff's songs that's very beautiful called Silly People was given to a very minor character in A Little Night Music that they knew immediately there was no reason for this person to be singing this amazingly complicated and difficult song because no one would care.
Yeah.
So it got cut.
So talk about others. So we've got a song from Company that was cut, a song from Little Night Music that was cut. What other well-known Sondheim shows are represented in these cuts that you?
Follies. There's a fair number from Follies.
Saturday Night.
Saturday Night, which
is-
has been produced, but at that time that the musical was put together, but that Marry Me a Little was put together, it had not been produced.
Right.
What else?
What's
That's
Foxtrot
really it.
from?
Follies.
Follies, right.
Follies, Little Night Music, Saturday Night. I think, and then there's some random songs from shows that never became anything. There's a song about golf.
Interesting.
Very funny.
Pour le Sport.
Pour le sport. Yeah.
So we should talk a little bit about your backgrounds here in the community. Now, Jeff, you are a choir teacher, but do a drama teacher.
Choir drama activities director out at Central High School.
Yes, and you've also
I've worked at Pinnacle for 27 years, doing stuff since 1992, something like that.
so you were basically raised up in this community
yes.
and music and
Born and raised
theater.
in Salem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Amy, your story is a little bit different. You actually from what area?
I'm from California.
Yeah, but
but-
you
My parents moved here in '91 and bought our house, and then I would just come for vacations and things until 5 years ago when we moved here from New York City.
yeah,
Is it hard to believe you've been here 5 years already?
It is hard to believe,
it's kind of
but
crazy.
yeah.
And it's a funny story, when she came and visited, I guess on a vacation in 91, 92,
Yes,
that's
right.
the first time I met her. we actually sang together
Yes.
at a New Year's Eve event.
You were a senior in high
I was a
school,
senior
and I
in
was
high
a
school, and she was
freshman
a
in
freshman.
college.
Wow.
And then she disappeared, and,
And then I
didn't hear from her again. And then all of a sudden,
Except I had your book.
except she borrowed a book from me during that performance, and then
And I somehow kept it all this
20
time.
years later, she's like, "Here's your book
Here's
back."
your
I'm
book.
like,
Oh my
I had
goodness.
forgotten all about it. It's just
Wow.
funny.
That's crazy. Now okay, I have to say, you were a voice teacher at
Yes.
AMDA, which is a
was.
very prestigious musical theater school in New York. So,
Did that for 12 and a half years.
yeah.
So, Jeff's longtime Salem resident, really well-known musician in Salem. Amy, a huge background in music, comes to Salem, and now you guys are on the stage together for the first time.
Yes.
And Sarah, obviously also a really gifted musician. This show has to have a different energy around it based on your guys' musical abilities with Sarah. How has this show been different rehearsing with maybe the caliber of musician that's maybe a step up than you're going to usually find in a community theater audition of a lot of varied music backgrounds?
Sure. Well, I think this music in particular, it is really a collaboration between the singers and the pianist. A lot of musical theater, you will find a pianist who is simply does their job, follows along, but we've spent a lot of time creating music together and finding moments where we, and Sarah's kind of driven that and made sure that we're making music together versus just singing.
Standing and singing.
And Sondheim demands that too.
Right.
Because
it's that music. It's that type of music.
You can't just fake your way
And
through
with
it.
music that's not been heard before, really,
Yeah.
by a lot of people, you really want to do it justice. And
Well,
so-
there's
awesome.
probably a reason this show's not done that often.
That's
Not
true,
only
I
not
think.
only the
Yeah.
Sondheim aspect, but it's a little known show,
Right.
and there's two people that have to be musically gifted.
and you have to have a gifted pianist
Yeah.
too.
And a director who has that vision for
Right.
something that is, these songs were not meant to go together, and so you have to have the way to connect the connective tissue.
It's more than just a recital.
Oh, it's
a
absolutely.
story.
Oh
There's
no,
a
we're
story.
No, there is
Yeah.
a story.
there's a story, and we're dancing and
Yep.
moving around, and
I've got choreography. Deborah
Choreo-
choreographed me for a number.
yes,
Who do
costume
you,
changes.
who do you
You're quite
think
the
this
dance
show
director.
appeals to? Like, if we were to say, go see Marry Me a Little, this is the type of, like, is it family friendly? Is it really more for adults that really like musical theater? Is it for anybody that's just interested in theater? Who would you say the genre appeals toward most?
Well, it's certainly family friendly. There's nothing about it that's not family friendly.
True.
But being Sondheim music, it is a little more. I would say, I don't want to say academic, but it's a little more.
It's all about the text, and it is. I mean, it's definitely for people who. I think anyone would like it. I think it's accessible, but it's definitely if you're a musical theater aficionado, and especially if you love Sondheim, these are
You'll love
songs
it.
that you will really love to hear because it's just they're not done very often, and I think we're doing it in a very accessible way.
Absolutely.
Very. It's very. There's lots of. It's very fun. I think it's actually, for me, it's sort of everything. All the music is everything you could possibly do in musical theater. There's the musical comedy aspect, and there's dancing and silliness, and then there's also Sondheim's really meaty, serious.
Yeah.
Romantic
songs.
side. I hear
There's
that.
a romantic
There's a
side.
romantic
Guys
side.
finally
Yeah.
do.
I actually get to
Goofy.
kiss her once.
Oh yeah. Can't wait to
Sorry,
see
dream
that.
come true.
yes,
Sorry,
Absolutely.
John.
Sorry, John,
Oh,
sorry, Ken.
indeed. Yeah. So you get to do everything. You get to be both really serious and also really goofy and fun
Yeah.
and.
So I hear tickets are going quickly. So
Yes.
opening night, which
Everybody's
is the
already
first,
sold out.
is already
Sold out.
sold out. So if someone wanted to go see the show, how would they get tickets?
They can go online to theveronastudio.com and order tickets. There's links all over the website for that. I think that's the only.
And I think it's worth
Yes,
noting
that's true.
that the Verona Studio only seats about 60 people.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
60
And you can get
seats.
tickets at the door,
You
but
can get,
Yes,
yes,
you can.
absolutely.
and it's general admission, so
Yes.
you probably want to
And
get there
the
early.
show's at 8 o'clock.
Are you
or
doing
2 o'clock for the matinees.
Are you doing two shows on those matinee days or just
Yes.
one?
Two, yeah.
Two.
So it'll be 8 o'clock on Friday, 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock on Saturday, then the same thing the following weekend.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing the show. I'm going to be there in a
Thank you.
second. So.
Excellent.
As will I.
And we
Wonderful.
wanted to thank you guys for coming today.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us
for
and
having
giving us
us.
this opportunity.
Check out theveronastudio.com. Tickets are all there. Check out their Facebook page as well. Thank you, Jeff and Amy.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Here we are with some gentleman representing the Oregon Thespian Society.
South Salem High School.
Yes.
Yes.
Theater
South
students.
Salem High
Yeah.
School's Thespian Society Troupe 577.
There you go, the specifics.
And
I like it.
Aric Wood and Max Morter. Aric's a senior at South.
Yes.
Max is a junior at South. And they are participating in the Oregon State Thespian Festival, which will be hosted in Salem next weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Yes.
Yes.
And so people are going to see thespians
Which
all
you may
over
have in the
downtown.
past, because I've seen them in past. They're all over the place.
Definitely.
They're
Starbucks has started marketing to us on and off when
Oh.
we
Well,
come here.
that's
It's
exciting.
pretty interesting.
So how many, if you had to just estimate, how many thespians are going to be converging on Salem next weekend?
about 1,300.
Okay.
Really? That's a
Yes.
huge number.
It is.
And-
it's one of the bigger festivals, state festivals in the country.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they have events at the Elsinore,
Yep.
at the Convention Center,
Yep.
other places or not?
Yes.
Okay, where
Around,
else are we gonna find them?
I believe it's on Friday, is the day of the one.
Yes.
acts
Fridays
around,
there's going to be a lot of one acts.
which is they'll just be showing in and around. I think we have something happening at the Grand, something happening at the.
They're happening in so many places, it's difficult to keep track of them all. Sometimes they happen in the library, sometimes Capital City Theater will host a one act. Really, if you want more information, you just got to find a guidebook app, and I think we're going to be talking more about that later. But yeah, there's lots of information online to find the specific locations.
So really, people of Salem, this is all happening really in the downtown area, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So 1,300 high school students from around Oregon are coming to Salem with their troupe directors, and they are hosting the State Thespian Festival. So who is planning this entire festival?
Well, it's a combination between students and teachers. The students, there are a team of 4 state thespian officers. I'm one of them, and we meet with the adult board of the Thespian Society about 5 times during the year to plan for the various events that Thespians puts on. And so my job is things like promoting the event, putting together a fundraiser that we're going to be doing at the event, coming up with the general themes for the event. It's State Wars this year is the overarching theme, so a Star Wars theme, which is pretty darn exciting. And then the adults take care of all the actual logistical paperwork side of things, such as renting out the Elsinore and making sure that insurance things are put together. So the students take care of all the fun stuff, and the adults take care of all the actual serious
The
things.
business side.
So Eric's been on the planning side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Max, you are a participant, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, we both are.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're both actually participating because we're doing a show during the competition. Me and him put together a not one act. It's a scene, a short scene, and we'll be performing it to get judged.
Because we were finalists at the regional competition, which was like a month ago.
Yes,
Yeah,
about a month ago.
I was just about to ask, so walk me through the experience as far as like what's a day in the life of the competition aspect or the...
This is my
Competition
first year competing, but have you competed?
I have not gotten to compete at state, so it's going to be a relatively new experience.
Okay, so what's a day in the life of I'm a thespian and I'm just going to the festival? What does your Thursday, Friday, Saturday look like over those 3 days?
Well, we spend the day at we spend our time at a mix of the Elsinore and in the convention center. There are a lot of different events like one acts, and there's also a lot of student-led workshops. For example, we're bringing an improv workshop. And that's part of like the theme of it is that every school brings something,
Yes.
some way to collaborate, some way to work with other students your age from all over the state, which is
I
awesome.
love
It's
that.
heavily student driven. So we start at the Elsinore where we see main stage productions. There's about 3 that get chosen from around the state, and they perform on the Elsinore for us to watch, and then we go and we do those workshops. I'm going to be busy a lot of the time helping to run the STO elections for next year's student thespian officers. So that's going to take a lot of work for me. So that's what my days is going to look like, but his day is going to be a lot more
Fun.
fun and talking to professionals in the theater industry, like stage combat and makeup and how to work with cameras and like all that sort of cool stuff. So he's going to be having adventures while I'm running some things.
So what are you most looking forward to, Max?
Ooh, that's tough to say. I'm really looking forward to seeing what one of the things I know about the competition aspect is that you get to observe other people who are working on scenes. So I'm really excited to see all these scenes that have got so much work put into them that they've qualified to possibly be shown at the state. Because if we
do well enough in our competition, we will be showcased on this Saturday, right?
Yeah, on Saturday there's a big showcase, and it's essentially just, it's not so much if we do well enough, but it's like when you audition for an actual show. They pick the people who would fit best in the lineup that they're building up.
Gotcha.
So if they're looking for a strange drama, then we'll be the
And
pick,
who's
hopefully.
picking those people?
That's going to be specially trained judges trained during they do seminars throughout the year to train people for regionals, which is the regional acting competition, and then they take those people to state, and usually those are like there's a lot of regional judges, and then there's only a few state judges, and so they have this rubric that they fill out. It's the same rubric that a lot of drama teachers use, and based off of that rubric they choose the best, and based off of what they saw they choose what would be best to put in the main stage showcase.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, are there any aspects that are open to the public as far as like parents, or I'm just curious, or is this just all about the students? Because it sounds like it's an awesome opportunity for them, but I'm just curious, like for me, the average, Salem dweller,
You
is there
may
anything
be able to get access to a few of the one acts, but other than that, given the sheer size of the event, like we cannot physically fit more people in some of these
Oh, I
things.
bet. Oh,
And
that's
so like
true.
the Elsinore, we are pretty much in every single seat. And so we can't allow
Yeah,
people
that
to be
makes
coming in
sense.
for that. But for some of the one acts, I think definitely you might be able to pop in and watch some students from across the state performing some stuff.
What kind of connections do you guys make with other student groups, other thespian groups from around the state? Because obviously you've got the Salem, I know that Salem high schools are pretty supportive of each other's shows and things, but if you got a group coming up from Grants Pass or somebody coming over from Bend, what kinds of interactions or relationships are you guys able to build with those other students?
It's cool because it's just like a smorgasbord of human contact, right? So there's all sorts of people from all different schools all over the place, and you're all just meeting each other basically by chance. Because everyone will have a type of workshop they want to do, and you can bond over that because it's a similar focus for a lot of people. And there are a lot of workshops that are basically just games. Dallas Myers does a workshop. What I've heard is every year about using a ball to focus a monologue, and then we play games with the ball, and it becomes just this, basically just a game. And that's nice. That's a way to connect with people, and then you take phone numbers, you friend each other on Facebook. There are so many different ways to get involved, and then come see each other's shows. That's awesome.
If you go to the conference, you will get Facebook friend requests. So that's
crazy.
That's really exciting.
And are there dances?
Yes.
Yes. So the overall theme is going to be Star Wars. The themes for the dances is going to be black and white formal for the light and dark side of the Force for the first night, and then the second night of the dance is going to be the Star Wars cantina. So just dress up as an alien and show up.
Oh, that sounds
And
fun.
so
Real
they're-
interesting. I'm sure that, and thespians are really going to get into that. I can
Oh
imagine.
yes,
it's gonna be great.
absolutely.
So tell us about kind of your guys' backgrounds. What have you been involved in? Aric, you're a senior. What are you going to do next year? Max, are you going to run for the state thespian board? So why don't you each kind of talk about where you've been and kind of where you're going?
I will
What have you
lead for that.
Yeah.
So I have been involved with South's theater program for 4 years. When I was a sophomore, I got elected onto our student board of directors, and from there I got elected to the state thespian officers in rather quick succession. And so I've been a leader in high school theater for 4 years, and my little empire of sand that I've built is about to crumble. And so I'm going to have to get involved with things like Pinnacle, and I'm going to be going to Corban University and studying under political and leadership engagement, which is a new degree they just came up with. So that's very exciting. But yeah, that's kind of my background and where I'm hoping to go. I have a strong passion for leadership and theater students and students in general, and I'm excited to continue to pursue that once I am no longer a part of this particular community.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, my involvement has been a little less thorough than Eric's. This is my first year on South's board. I'm the vice president under Aric as president, and that's been awesome, the position, getting to work with kids. Other than that, at South, I've just done shows, been involved doing tech hours, just helping out where I can, do what I can. And then I work at CET, I'm a TA, and that's like my theater stuff, that and Pentacle, and that's been my
Max
experience.
was in a production of Fiddler on the Roof that Heather and I directed as a,
I
fifth
think
or
I was like,
sixth grader?
yeah, I was like
He was great.
10, 11.
The most intense
Oh,
actor on
awesome.
stage.
Loved it.
So we
Tears were real.
So
so
where can we hear more? If people wanted to find out more information, where would they go?
OregonThespians.org.
Oh, I like how you guys said that.
Excellent.
Yes, that wasn't even planned or anything. Improv people.
So you're gonna see in Salem a bunch of high school kids, probably dressed.
Look for the
in,
lanyards.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the
with lanyards, a lot of T-shirts that are T-shirts and things like that. So support them as they go on to their state conference next weekend in Salem. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Our pleasure.
It was awesome.
All right.
Hello, and congratulations for making it this far into the episode. God knows it isn't easy. We appreciate that. And I'd like to tell you that you've had your Brussels sprouts, and now it's time for your dessert, but that wouldn't be true either. I'm not any good. So, I was speaking to Tom Hewitt, though. And for those of you who don't know, Tom Hewitt is a retired theater teacher who now spends most of his time showing casual acquaintances pictures of his grandchildren. But I was talking to him and sounding him out about whether or not he'd like to be on the show, as he is a kind of interesting man, and he said no. And I just kind of stood there and nodded and said, I understand. Because a lot of people have been coming up to me lately, in the past few weeks that we've been doing this show. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of people. Some people, a few people, our viewers, have been coming up to me and sympathetically putting their hand on my arm and just looking at me like this and saying, how do you do it? How do you guys push through the misery you three clearly feel while doing this show? And I have my answer down pat at this point. I say, well, thank you for watching. We do it for you. And then I say, look, nobody really knows why we push through. And it's not just this show, it's life. Life isn't always fun. Life isn't always even interesting. But we push through it anyway. We push through all the mundanity and the fear of changing the routine of mundanity. And I don't know that anyone really knows the answer of why, except to say that the alternative is worse. Because the alternative of not pushing through all of that and trying and battling on through, just the things, well, the alternative is nothing. Thanks for watching Isaac's Corner.
Eventually, Heather, I think Isaac will grasp the concept of what we've asked him to do. He continues to struggle with maybe the assignments that we've given him.
We've given him a difficult task.
We have, but I feel like we've been clear, we've been concise, and our expectations have been laid out pretty solidly. So hopefully next week's Isaac's Corner gets to the point of what we invited him here to do.
I guess what we're saying, don't give up on him yet.
Don't give up on Isaac, but you could send us an email, cherrycitypunch@gmail.com, if you're interested in taking Isaac's place.
Or check out our Facebook page, Cherry City Punch.
Heather, how'd the CrossFit Open go for you?
You know, I have not been doing it. I have been sick, and
Well,
also...
I'm proud to say that I completed it today. Was my or actually last night was my last CrossFit Open workout, and I am in first place in all the scaled competitors.
That's great.
So,
I'm sure that if I did it, I wouldn't be first.
No, but I was just asking. I just want to check in on your progress.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Thank you.
So
that was our show. Please thank we want to thank our sponsors,
Wandering
Angus,
Angus, yeah.
and also Anthem Cider, and hope to see you back next week.
check us out on Facebook, Cherry City Punch. Email us at cherrycitypunch@gmail.com. And for the younger folks, there is Instagram. So check us out on Instagram. Like us, share us, help us. Help us help you. Thanks for letting us in.